What is going on, basketball fans, and welcome back to NBA GOAT News. Last night, the Detroit Pistons took on the Brooklyn Nets in a hard-fought battle, and it was Cade Cunningham and the Pistons who came out on top with a 106-92 win. Detroit put on a show, showing off depth, defense, and some seriously clutch moments down the stretch. Cade Cunningham led the way for Detroit, scoring 19 points and playing the floor general we know he can be. But this was a team effort for the Pistons, with 6 players scoring in double figures. Tobias Harris and Malik Beasley each dropped 18 points, and Jaden Ivey, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jalen Duren also filled up the box score. Speaking of Duren, he didn't just bring 13 points to the party. He was a beast on the glass with 17 rebounds. The Pistons were relentless, crashing the boards and spreading the score all around. Now, the Brooklyn Nets didn't go down without a fight. Cameron Johnson was a standout for Brooklyn, scoring 26 points with a red-hot 22 of those coming in the first half. He gave the Pistons all they could handle early on, making it the most points by a Nets player in any first half this season. And let's not forget about Cam Thomas, who chipped in 17, but the Pistons defense clamped down when it mattered most. This game flipped in the third quarter, folks. Detroit came out of the half on fire, outscoring Brooklyn 31-20 and out-rebounding them 12-7. The Pistons' physicality on the boards and their hustle on the defense started to show. And even though Brooklyn entered the fourth quarter only down 6, Detroit shut the door, holding the Nets to just 15 points in the final frame. Cam Thomas, usually deadly in the clutch, was held to just 6 points in the last quarter. Now, if we're talking areas for improvement, neither team had a great night from three-point land. The Pistons went 11 of 36, while the Nets were 9 for 31 behind the arc. But Detroit's depth and defense made up for the shooting struggles. Their balanced scoring, relentless rebounding, and key defensive stands were what made the difference. With this win, Detroit has now won 2 of their last 3 games and will look to keep up the momentum against LeBron and the Lakers next. Last night's showdown between the Atlanta Hawks and the New Orleans Pelicans was packed with twists, drama, and a few highlight dunks you don't want to miss. Atlanta came out on top with a decisive 126-111 win. Let's break it all down. So first, let's set the stage. The New Orleans Pelicans came in looking for a win, but they had some major challenges right from the tip-off. Zion Williamson was a last-minute scratch with hamstring tightness, joining a list of missing players that included DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, and Herb Jones. Basically, Brandon Ingram was the lone usual starter for the Pels. And for the Hawks, they were missing DeAndre Hunter, plus a few other role players, so it was still anyone's game. Brandon Ingram took on the challenge for New Orleans, racking up a solid 32 points. He was unstoppable at times, giving fans plenty to cheer about with his smooth jumpers and relentless drive. But with so many key players out, it was a tough hill to climb against an Atlanta team that was looking to snap a 4-game losing streak. Atlanta didn't just come to play. They came to make a statement. The Hawks absolutely owned the paint, outscoring New Orleans 66-32 in close range. And leading the charge, Jalen Johnson with a career-best 29 points, flying high for dunks, crashing the boards, and making sure Atlanta fans had plenty of reason to get loud. It was a full team effort for the Hawks, with 6 players hitting double figures. Trae Young put up 23 points and had some flashy assists to keep things moving. And former Pelican Dyson Daniels made a triumphant return after a brief injury absence, pouring in 16 points and reminding New Orleans of what they gave up. Even Larry Nance Jr. added a solid 14 off the bench, plus a little extra firepower aimed at his former team. Speaking of Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr., both guys were extra fired up to face their former squad. Nance even blew a kiss to the Pelicans bench after draining a 3, and Daniels celebrated another big 3 with a hand gesture that showed he came ready to play. The game's turning point came in the fourth quarter. With Pelicans hanging around, Atlanta launched a 14-0 run to pull away for good, stretching their lead to 116-97. David Roddy hit a clutch 3 to kickstart it, and Johnson threw down 3 monster dunks during the stretch to seal the deal. With this win, the Hawks put an end to their 4-game skid and showed that they've got the depth and determination to get back on track. As for the Pelicans, it's clear they've got some young talent stepping up, but without their stars, it was just too much to overcome. Last night, the Dallas Mavericks put on an absolute clinic against the Orlando Magic. Luka Doncic was on fire, scoring 32 points, and the Mavs took control early, blowing past an injury-riddled Magic squad. Let's break down the game and see what led to a dominant 108-85 victory for the Mavs. Alright, let's jump in from the start. The first quarter set the tone as the Mavs looked energized and ready to get to work. Luka was all over the place, hitting tough shots and threading the needle with his passes. The Mavericks finished the quarter strong, going on a 13-2 run in the last 3:10. Orlando was left scrambling, missing their last 6 shots and could barely keep up as the Mavs got out to an early lead. It was clear that Dallas was out to prove a point. But if the first quarter wasn't enough, Dallas absolutely exploded in the second quarter. The Mavs outscored the Magic 30-9 in the first 9 minutes and 30 seconds of the quarter, going up by 25 at the half. And it wasn't just Luka. Kyrie Irving chipped in 17 points, bringing his trademark flair, and Derek Lively was a beast off the bench with 11 points and 11 rebounds. The Mavs were relentless, outscoring the Magic in the paint, pushing the fast break, and out-rebounding them in a huge way. For Orlando, it was a tough night, with Paolo Banchero out due to a torn oblique and Wendell Carter Jr. playing limited minutes because of a plantar fascia strain. The Magic's lineup was really thin. Franz Wagner led them with 13 points, but Orlando couldn't find any offensive rhythm, shooting just 19.5% from beyond the arc. One of their worst three-point performances of the season. They finished way below their usual 111.7 points per game, putting up only 85. Now, let's get back to Luka. He was just unstoppable, dropping 32 points, grabbing 9 boards, and dishing 7 assists. Luka controlled the game. He was getting to his spots, nailing his jumpers, and making it look easy. Luka has been off to a hot start this season, and this game was yet another reminder of why he's a perennial MVP candidate. Let's look at some of the key stats. Dallas coach Jason Kidd wanted a faster pace with fewer fouls and more rebounds. The Mavs delivered, finishing with a season-high 53 rebounds and outscoring the Magic 19-12 in fast break points. Also, big shout-outs to Daniel Gafford for bouncing back after a rough game last Thursday. He scored a season-high 18 points and grabbed 8 rebounds, adding a lot of grit inside. Dallas showed they're serious about competing in the West. With Luka leading the way and role players stepping up, the Mavs are showing a lot of depth and versatility. For Orlando, it was a rough night with injuries, but this is a young team that's still finding its identity. Let's hope they can bounce back. If you want more NBA news, highlights, and game recaps like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.